Greetings, my fellow philosophical thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3-Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Sunday, October 5th, 2025. This is episode 1903, The Pritzker Clan's Transgender Movement in America. Before I proceed, you can find me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Looky Luck number 3, Looky Luck Roman number 3 with 3 eyes, or the Looky Luck Roman number 3 podcast. In addition, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to PayPal.me or Cash Out app /Looky Luck 3. You can follow me at Steemit at LL number 3-podcast. Oh, yeah. I just, I'm a subscriber to the American Free Press. And there's time back I looked through it. I should actually observe that newspaper a lot more. Well, I found an interesting article which came out recently. And it was issue 38. Wait, no, Scott, but sorry about that. It is from the September 29th to October 6th. Okay, 2025. And this was called The Pritzker Clan, the family behind the transgender movement in America, by Nick Griffin. So, instead of ranting what else is going on around the world, I'm going to read this. It is very interesting. So, as it reads here, following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, opinion across the board swathe of the right is divided into two camps. One says that Kirk, a devoted pro-Israel Zionist, was murdered because he had recently begun to criticize the Netanyahu regime and for the closely related crime of noticing the vastly disproportionate role of what he called secular Jews in funding the cultural Marxist assault on Western civilization and Christianity. The other believes that the homosexual leftist who allegedly pulled the trigger acted alone, shooting Kirk on account of his transphobia. The shooter's mother indicated the alleged shooter was in a relationship with a male who was undergoing procedures to become a transsexual. At first sight, these two views seem to be drastically at odds with each other, but an open-minded study of the trans movement reveals something which in fact brings them into general alignment. The trans lobby turns out to be a classic example of how the cultural Marxist revolution is allegedly funded and promoted by the secular Jews called out by Kirk in the week before his assassination. Other words, Ginos or the synagogue of Satan. I add that in there. I'll continue on. The modern transgender movement stands as a resurrection of the uber-liberal sexual attitudes that festered in Weimar Germany between World War I and the Nazi reaction, when cultural Marxists of the Frankfurt School sowed seeds of rebellion against the natural order. Magnus Hirschfeld, a Jewish sexologist, founded his Institute for Sexual Research in 1919, the world's first clinic dedicated to affirming what he called intermediate sexual types, performing early gender surgeries and peddling the myth that human identity could be surgically or hormonally reshaped. Hirschfeld's operation promoted homosexuality, cross-dressing, and gender-affirming care. This was no isolated perversion. It is intertwined with the insidious project of the Frankfurt School, that cabal of neo-Marxists and mainly Jewish intellectuals, particularly Theodor Adorno, Max Horkheimer, and Herbert Marcuse. Ensconced at Goethe University before being booted out of Germany, the Frankfurt School shifted from Marxist economics to cultural subversion, targeting the family, the church, and the traditional morality for destruction through relentless critique. This cultural Marxism is the ideological framework behind the trans rights movement, a calculated assault where heterosexuals, whites, natural families, Christians, and others with religious faith are oppressive. Transgenderism emerges as a weapon to dismantle the God-ordained family unit, replacing biblical complementary with fluid identities that echo Marcuse's Freudian fantasies of polymorphous perversion. When the Nazis razed Hirschfeld's Institute in 1993, torching its library of 20,000 volumes as a symbol of degenerate science, the Frankfurters fled to America. There, the Frankfurt School Institute for Social Research was formed at Columbia University. Sowing seeds of subversion, these germinated during the sexual revolution of the 1960s and have grown into the monstrous thing we see today. A Reimer specter cloaked in rainbow flags, demanding a thinly disguised kind of child sacrifice and a poisoning of the well of human fertility. This transgender ideology has entered the mainstream of American medical practice thanks primarily to one single family, the Pritzker clan. Having made millions with the Hyatt hotel chain, they have bankrolled the medical machinery and ideological blitzkrieg that mutilates bodies and souls in pursuit of this revived hearsay. Catholic Magazine, The Tablet, published a major piece exposing the Pritzkers' central role in all this back in June 2022. The article was entitled The Billionaire Family Pushing Synthetic Sex Identities, SSI. The subheading spoke of how the wealthy, powerful, and sometimes very weird Pritzker cousins have set their sights on a new godlike goal using gender ideology to remake human biology. The tablet went on to explain, over the past decade, the Pritzkers of Illinois appeared to have used a family philanthropic apparatus to drive an ideology and practice of disembowelment into our medical, legal, cultural, and educational institutions. At the helm stands 75-year-old Jennifer Pritzker, formerly James, who transitioned from man to a woman in 2013 and now runs the Tawani Foundation. Tawani funnels millions into clinics and research that peddle puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and sex change surgeries. Pritzker says her most memorable experiences in life were in Israel in October 1973 when she witnessed events of the Yom Kippur War. Pritzker enlisted in the U.S. Army for just 4 months later. Pritzker retired as a lieutenant colonel from the Illinois Army National Guard in 2001. Pritzker has since been rated as the world's first trans billionaire. As far back as 1968, a $12 million donation created the Pritzker School of Medicine at the University of Chicago. This was expanded in 2002 by a $30 million infusion that entrenched synthetic sex identities in biological sciences. The tablet notes that Pritzker utilizes the Tawani Foundation to support various institutions that promote the concept of a spectrum of human sexes. In 2003, the Tawani Foundation made a $1.35 million donation to the Palm Center at the University of California, Santa Barbara, to study the feasibility of transgender people serving in the military and in police and fire departments. The current chair, Aaron Dever, founded an annual conference called Moving Trans History Forward. The keynote speaker at its inaugural event was a notorious transhumanist, Martin Rothblatt, who was mentioned by the transhumanist Ray Kurzweil of Google. Rothblatt's lecture covered the value of creating an organization such as a World Professional Association for Transgender Health, or WPATH, or WPATH, to serve tech transgenders in the cultivation of tech transhumanists. Another donation established the University of Toronto's Bonham Centre for Sexual Diversity Studies. Tawani's grants to Howard Brown Health and Rush Memorial Medical Center equipped them to provide gender care to confused children with the pledge of up to $1 million birth the Gender and Sex, the sex development program at Lurie's Children's Hospital in 2013, managed by another Pritzker cousin. Their autistic teens are groomed towards irreversible chemical and surgical mutilation. The Pritzkers also funded the University of Minnesota's National Center for Gender Spectrum Health. This teaches junior medics that the gender spectrum is inclusive of the wide array of fabricated sex identities. Through investments in the techno-medical complex, where new, highly medicalized sex identities are being conjured, the Pritzkers are attempting to normalize the idea that human reproductive sex exists on a spectrum. These investments go toward creating new synthetic sex identities, using surgeries and drugs, and provide the ideological justification for these assaults on normality. There is no charity. It is a techno-medical conquest with Tawani Enterprises investing in Squadron Capital LCC, snapping up firms that craft instruments, implants, cutting tools, and injection-molded plastic products for use in surgeries. J.B. Pritzker is James Pritzker's cousin and also the Illinois governor who signed a 2019 executive order compelling schools across state to be affirming and inclusive of transgenders and non-binary students. He also asked the school board, the state board of education, to take the lead on LGBTQ rights and making relevant resources much more easily accessible. In 2021, JB imposed a sex education overhaul embedding gender ideology into every public school. He is also a vocal supporter of immigration and gun control. The Democrat left-winger responded to the assassination of Kirk by blaming Trump for all political violence. Meanwhile, Penny Pritzker, Obama-era Commerce Secretary, lends her clout to the Human Rights Campaign and to the American Civil Liberties Union COFRs. Thus, we see this one family at the dark heart of the trans movement, the anti-human effort by subversives in the medical industrial complex to pervert human sexuality and to create new profit centers from the mutilated bodies and lost broken souls of its befuddled victims. The whole thing is a classic example of the tendency which Kirk condemned, whether his assassination was a conspiracy or the work of a lone individual motivated by the trans agenda. The common denominator is exactly the phenomenon that he noticed just days before his murder. Interesting indeed. The question is this, my friends. Kio bono, who benefits, right? We can say the Pritzker clan. So there's a lot of things that I find very disturbing indeed. One is child abuse. Two is involuntary servitude. Oh, yes. Based on this article, can you say they are criminals? Absolutely. Trying to destroy and treasonous? Damn straight. Including Governor J.B. Pritzker. We all know he's a slob anyhow and a treasonous douchebag that needs to be indicted for that charge. For all the things he's doing, and even executive orders can contradict the state's Bill of Rights. Always got to have that mindset. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to cast stones of adults doing these transitioning. I may not agree with it, okay? But I do see it's a Dr. Moreau effect. H.G. Wells warned us about it in his book, The Island of Dr. Moreau, Transitioning, Controlling Everybody. And it's not more just this one particular subject. It goes bigger than that. This cultural Marxism is a sham. And this happened in the 1920s with the Weimar Republic of Germany. Should these United States be like that? I say hell no. If people get offended by it, who the hell cares? I go by natural law. Okay? That's my nature. And no one else can say a damn thing about it to me, and how should I think? I'm not some phobe either. I mingled a lot of people in the industry, in this entertainment industry for a long time. But I'll talk to them as individuals. But we're going to do this to minors, to children, that's a war crime. If that's the case with the Pritzker clan, they need to be thoroughly investigated and be charged for multiple crimes, RICO, treason, etc. Well, that's my intake on this matter. I'd like to hear from you. That will be it. Thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us about your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3-podcast@proton.me. I can't really leave the article on this. However, if you want to subscribe, I'll give you the link. And I put the title in there, and you can look at it for yourselves. And if you want to donate, go to PayPal.me or cash.app/look3. If you want to follow me at Steemit, I'm at there. Good grief. Sorry about that, folks. LL3-Podcast. If you subscribe or donate to the American Free Press, that'd be pretty cool. Please observe responsibly. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.